Okay. John, you want to go ahead and do the roll call, please?
Kay Harrison.
Here.
Roger Cole.
Present.
Mike Parsons.
Present, I have to leave at 1:15, so I may have to get out a little bit early to the meeting is over with.
John Edwards.
Present.
John Quinn.
Yoki. Okay, appearances of interested people. Michael, introduce yourself. You're part of us, but not all of us know who you are.
She wasn't here last meeting.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. I wasn't here last.
Well, I work on the TV crew.
Cool.
I've been here for almost 8 years. And yeah, I plan on being here for a lot longer.
And Michael, I was hard to put you on the spot. I forgot you probably were introduced last time and I wasn't here. So, but thank you.
no.
And thank you. We're glad to have people in. So
Yeah.
anyway, thanks. All right, now I need a motion for the consent agenda, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Kay Harrison.
Here.
Roger Cole.
Yes.
Yes.
Mike Parsons.
Yes.
John Edwards.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, resolution 24-27, award of proposal for 3,600-gallon septic tank pump truck. Oh, wait a minute. Now, I have that, but on my other one, I have financial.
Yeah, this was added in between, so you got
Okay.
the only one up there.
So
We
so
don't need
what I have is right?
the paper copy is.
Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so I was doing okay. We're, okay, good.
We're looking to purchase that septic truck first to move waste from Gold Hill Treatment Plant to the city of Medford. The waste activated sludge, and then when it's not being used for that, we can use it to pump our own septic tanks
Oh, okay.
throughout the facility. Western Systems was the only one that replied. We sent it out to Western Systems and about 5 other places. They came back with the purchase amount for the septic tank, the aluminum 3,600-gallon tank pump on a Freightliner chassis for the $247,332.
How many of our own septics do we have?
I have a little less than 100 right now.
No kidding. Have you pumped those regularly?
Yeah, every
You just as needed?
Yeah, 3 to 7 years. And I mean, they're all over, like Jackson County Sheriff's has a 3,000-gallon tank that we use.
Okay.
Then small ones out to Eagle Mill and I was to Eagle Point and stuff.
We're trying to eliminate them as best as we can, but they'll never be fully eliminated. I don't think.
These are just service contracts we have with other people.
It's what?
Some of them are service contracts just only, or do we own?
No. These are, it's what they call a septic tank effluent system. And it's a different kind of sewer where they would have a septic tank and then the effluent from that flows into the regular sewer,
Okay.
either a gravity sewer line or it's got a pump in it that pumps to it. So Nick's been doing a lot of work with the ones that are pumped, replacing them with grinder pumps, so eliminating those. The gravity ones are actually a little harder to remove because they're flowing into a small diameter gravity pipe. So you can't just take them out and you have to have an 8-inch pipe if you're going to do a gravity sewer. So the reason you use them is it's small pipe and it, kind of low impact, and they're more cost effective when you're dealing with areas that are real sparsely populated. If you've got, I don't know, 30 or 40 houses per mile of pipe, then you build an 8-inch pipe, it's all good. But if you've got 5, it doesn't, it gets real expensive if you're trying to build an 8-inch gravity pipe. So they go with those, they call them step systems. And they were popular back in the 80s, maybe 90s, but not so much anymore.
No technology changes.
They're real leaky.
Oh,
I mean, a lot of our infiltration and stuff comes from them because, I don't know why, it's the tanks themselves, I think, is kind of the culprit on those, so. And they're a lot of work to maintain. I mean, that's a significant number of the call outs that we get at night are related to the step tanks.
Yeah, we have an ongoing capital project number that we use. We try to chip away. I think we average, 5 to 10 of them a year. I think last year we got quite a few.
Converting 5 to 10 a year?
Yeah, because our construction crew and some of the other guys, they're getting really good at going in. They're retrofit them with, like Carl said, they're the E1 grinder pumps. Sure. And so what they've been doing is the standard system is it's basically like ST pipe 24 inch on end, okay? And that's the tank. And then they have a separation in there where it's dry well, wet well, and it just dries it up. And it's a real small footprint. But what they started doing, TJ was real involved in this. They'll just actually take the lid off of the septic tank and just drop that E1 right in there and use that. They'll just drop the whole thing right in there and use that as they won't have to excavate or anything. That's great. Fill the void in, and yeah, they can do them really fast. So it's filler
That's
work
good.
for our construction crew. So
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
Okay, motion please.
I move to approve resolution 2427, award proposal for a 3,600 gallon septic tank pump truck.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call please.
Kate Harrison,
Yes.
Frederick Tom,
Yes.
Mike Parsons,
Yes.
Don Evans,
Yes.
John Quinn.
Yes.
Good to see you, John.
Yeah, sorry, 5 minutes.
That's okay.
Good to see you.
All right, now financial updates, please.
Brenda, can you hear us?
I do. Can you hear me?
Yep. Hi, Brenda.
Hi. Okay, so we have the first quarter of fiscal year 25 in front of you. A couple things I just wanted to point out. If you look at page 5 at the bottom of the other revenues, that's where you're going to start seeing a lot of our receipt of loan reimbursements with our various projects that we have going on. And then just so you know where the placement is of those. And then on the next page, on page 6, under the workers' comp, we have this every year in the first and second quarter of the fiscal years. You see a credit in workers' comp. And again, what happens is we have to send to workers' comp an estimate of our payroll, including all of the PTO available. At the end of the year, we send them actual number and we pay off of that. We pay off of that estimate. Then at the end of the year, we send them the actual. We don't use all of our PTO. So we've overpaid our workers' comp because they do not include that. And so we typically get a refund check of our overpayment. So you'll see this in the first couple quarters of every year, a credit. And then we pay. Workers' comp is on a calendar year. So we'll pay usually the end of December, the very 1st of January for that next fiscal year. So that's why you see a credit in the expense of workers' comp. And then I didn't have anything else specific to point out to you unless any of you have questions.
Anyone have any questions?
No.
Okay. And then we need a motion for the approval. No?
I think it's just information.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I put the wrong thing there.
yeah.
Oh, it is, sorry, it is.
Well,
We don't need to approve anything, I just accidentally put the wrong thing there.
Okay.
Copied and pasted.
well, and when I, that's okay, Joan. And then I forgot to ask for approval of the financials for the water thing and I'm old, okay?
I wasn't gonna say it.
I know, yeah, right, okay, yeah, okie dokie. So that's cool. Next is project update.
Yeah, so on this one, I included a couple other items that are not normally on here. It's just some of the stuff that we're planning on doing that we have done in the past. It's not some of our normal services. So sewer system modeling, this has been on my list and I know Carl's list for quite some time. I plan on getting on it, tried to get on it, chipped away at it a little bit here and there over the years. And we've now got some staff that I think we're just gonna really just tackle this, which is a big deal. I'd like to do the whole thing. I'd like to do our entire system, Oldville, Shady Cove, you know, and you gotta kind of do it in chunks. You know, it's a heck of an undertaking. Roger knows, he's been involved with this stuff for years.
Yeah.
And kind of the takeaway here is we're gonna do it in-house.
Oh,
That
wow.
allows us to do a lot of different things, and that's why we haven't really got onto it. It's a heck of a lot of work, but you know, our
You guys take really smart people.
staff engineer,
The modeling stuff was, I never really figured it out.
it's,
It was like,
yeah.
it was just like too weird for me.
It is, it's a little
I
abstract.
hired people smarter than me.
So,
My next part.
yeah, we'll see, but I'll pass it on to Dashin, he can figure it out. But it's actually one of the things that's kind of really interesting. And Dashin, our staff engineer, actually has a real affinity for software and figuring these things out, and he's starting to understand the methodology behind it as well. And so we're right at that point where we can really just tackle this stuff. And we've got tons and tons of flow monitoring data TJ's been working on for years.
Well,
We're primed to do it, and we're gonna be spending a lot of time on it.
I think it's really neat. I think it's really neat to have somebody that understands that. I understand just enough to know that I don't understand it,
Yeah.
because it's a little, but I also know that everybody has their own skill set. And when you have somebody like that, how you go for this project, because this is a good project to have.
Yeah, it's also, you gotta kind of nerd out on it a little bit, otherwise it drives you crazy. Because it's a ton of extra, but it is pretty interesting, because we'll throw all the numbers in the model, put it together, press run, hopefully it runs and doesn't give you a whole crap load of errors.
Uh-huh.
And then you can take those numbers and we have all this flow monitoring data, and with these rain events like this, we can go back and look at it and see kind of how close we are, and then you can calibrate it, massage it over time.
Yeah.
So, what we use it for, the real big ticket here is for planning purposes, you know.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of urban growth boundaries that kind of John mentioned quite a bit that we want to pay attention to and take a look at, see. In the back of our minds, we've been worried about a little bit for capacity issues, and now we can get this numbers to it. So that's the grand plan. So
I think it's a big good thing.
yeah, I'm excited to start working on it. The other one is very analogous, is the City of Talent Stormwater Master Plan. We kind of cut our teeth a couple of years ago on this. We entered an agreement with the City of Talent to perform a stormwater master plan for them. And in 2019, we got shelved for a while because of COVID, Alameda Fire, and then we finally finished it in very early part of January of 2023, sent it over to the City of Talent, and they just put it on the shelf. And they never adopted it. And so I do know some folks that were working there and they looked at it and they were happy with it. They just never pushed it through. They had a bunch of turnover with staffing and things. So they've got a new city engineer there who's she's got some horsepower and some high rev motor, and she's really trying to tackle some of this stuff. This just kind of came up. And they're gonna send it to their council to adopt actually tonight. Yeah, so.
Cool. So you're gonna go to that meeting and,
Yeah, Carl will be there. I'll talk about the technical stuff. Carl's gonna talk about the money side if we need to,
cool.
and answer questions. It's pretty straightforward. At least my stuff is. Carl's stuff's slow. It's pretty straightforward. So yeah, and that's kind of the other little I wouldn't call them pet projects, they're things we need to do, they're big giant things that last a long time, so.
Yeah, on a side note, on the talent master plan, one of the recommendations was that they increase their storm drainage rate. And I think they're going to do that, but we collected for them, so if they approve that, I'm gonna have to come back with a resolution to increase the amount that we're collecting for the city.
Yeah, so on some of the other stuff I usually talk about, Antelope Road. Said it was gonna get going, they finally started. So, and hopefully they don't. You know, it's the beginning of a project is always stressful and a lot of back and forth between the contractor and so everything. But they're out there saw cutting, doing 24 to 30 inches of asphalt and concrete and everything else. So, but we're off to the races on it. Shaco pump station number 2 is done.
Yay.
Fence is in, at the site, or the property owner seems to be pretty happy and it's running and like we thought it was going to. Echo Way, that one's been kind of shelved for the moment. I think we're gonna wait and see what the city of Eagle Point decides on their one-time urban growth boundary expansion. And if we have to talk about that, then coming months we will. Miscellaneous pump station upgrades, I think we're just still buying equipment and 4th Street, in Gold Hill, the railroad crossing abandonment, we're pretty close on that. I think we're gonna try to bid that this early spring. And then kind of stormwater facility is, oh yeah, I do have my pictures in here. That one's done. We will have retainage on the plantings and some of the vegetation with the contractor for a year, so we'll come back in a year and make sure everything's alive and flourishing like we hope it will be. I don't think this one's gonna be a big issue. There's constant base flow of water. And it's just, I've got a couple pictures in there. It's not gonna hopefully not look like that forever. You can see some of the vegetation poking up through the water, but that was during a pretty heavy rain that I went down there and took some pictures of it a couple weeks ago. And all that kind of looks like granite almost on the sides there. That's hydroseed, so that
Yeah,
should be all grass.
it was faintly green, so I figured it was.
Yeah. That's the hope anyways, but we still have them on the hooks to come back and vegetate it later.
That's how my picture came through.
Oh, that looks good.
Isn't that nice?
That looks like the Matrix. That looks like some sort of like investment portfolio thing.
It looks like the 1970s on acid.
And so that's an infiltration, the only water you see in there, that ended up soaking into the ground.
Yeah.
Looks like it's working really well.
Yeah, we have quite a bit of extra capacity in there, and I think
Yeah,
I might see how, you never really know, you give a really good guess with these things. Us engineers like to think we know exactly what's gonna happen, but you don't. And so I think I wanna we've got a shear gate in there that creates the weir. And so I think what I wanna do is make a couple different ones and then put them in and see how much it'll build up and then soak in and what kind of rain event.
Sure.
It'll take.
oh, so you kind of can use it as a test.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, and really see over time how every site's like very different.
Yeah.
So it's tough for people. It's not like sewer flows where it's kind of a little more predictable, but because you're dealing with how much the existing soil can absorb. So, but
What area of talent does that serve? How much talent does that serve?
55 acres. So it's basically part of Mountain View Estates, all of the old Walmart lot there and that giant parking lot. Between, what would that be, Creel and Wrap. Creel and Wrap, and then a little of the highway there, and then some of the area in between there, between there and Talent Avenue. There was, most of the area was burnt, like all that area. Yeah. So,
Started to do a lot of grubbing. I remember seeing it started,
oh yeah,
looks good.
yeah. So, and then then with the stormwater facility, Knife River's still working on that. and the UV disinfection. We're working on making DEQ happy with our, project documents and contracts, all their forms. And, we're kind of up against the wall a little bit on the, did we get that all figured out, Carl? I know you were.
But yeah, I put it in my report.
Okay.
I'll talk about it now.
Oh, sure.
So when we started the design on this, one of the first things we did was put out basically a request for proposals for the equipment suppliers. And we got 2 proposals and we selected one from a company called Wedico. And they gave us a price guarantee that had a deadline on it. And that deadline is in December. And, they're not guaranteeing anything past that, there's a pretty strong expectation that costs are gonna go up fairly significantly starting next year. So our engineer has, asked if we'd be willing to, if it'd be smart to pre-purchase it. So we've got the contract already, we've got the price fixed already. Our plan was to have the contractor buy it, but we can buy it and make sure we get the price that we locked in. We've got places stored out there at the treatment plant, it's not a problem. And then the contractor would just install that equipment. So the benefit of doing that would be you lock in the price, you may end up paying, 10 or 15% higher. You're looking at a $250,000 piece of equipment, so 10% would be about $25,000 on top of that. The downside of doing it that way is that you got all the chain of custody stuff.
Yeah.
And that can get messy if something doesn't look right. Because,
Or something disappears.
well, I'm not so worried about that part of it. but something doesn't go together right, and it doesn't work right, and the manufacturer says it worked when we gave it to you, and we said we just had it in the box, and then the contractor doesn't have any responsibility for it. It can get potentially messy. We did that with the pumps out of Dunn. And it didn't, it was just more, it was a headache for Nick more than anything else. I don't think we ended up with any worse product or any more expense because of it, but it was just a pain to have to basically referee between suppliers and contractors.
Yeah, that was kind of dealing in that big, we used to do non-moving parts, dirt, asphalt, that kind of stuff. And, dealing with those big mechanical items that are very, very expensive. And it took me a second, and I kind of figured out what was going on, that, the supplier comes in, their rep delivers it to the contractor puts it in, and then they all kind of coalesce at the end. And nobody wants to sign off on it at the end. And they do this every day. And being a guy that doesn't do it every day, nobody wants to stand by their product. And so they would love to just, oh, it's working, and then walk away. But on this one, I think we're gonna be aware of what's going on. We do final startup, testing, sign off, approvals, that kind of stuff. And we eventually got it done. It just took a minute to kind of give them the side eye and figure out what the heck they were doing. So.
It's interesting. Yeah. But anyway, my recommendation is we do go ahead and pre-purchase it. Mostly because that's our design. And if we don't, and they're not bound by any price agreement, there's nothing there's, sky's the limit. You basically enter into a contract to buy this thing for whatever price they decide they want to charge.
Well, Nick still got here, so.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, Carl, so I thought you said that the contractor that's doing the installation has already been hired?
No. We don't have a contractor. We selected the supplier of the equipment. So they're giving us a box that does the UV stuff.
Who's installing?
That's going out to bid here probably in January. Okay. So our original plan was that we would put this out to bid like in August. And, we would have a contractor, the contractor will order the equipment in the spring. We had some delays, some caused by the supplier, most caused by our engineering. Not yet.
Our hiring.
That doesn't work here. But, and so that kind of pushed us back, and so we're at risk of meeting the deadline on the price lock, and they've been very clear they're not gonna extend it, past next year, into next year. So we've got an entire project that is designed specifically for this piece of equipment that it only comes from one person, because we've already selected them through a competitive bid process back in February or whatever it was. And so, if we don't get the price lock, and then the contractor goes to order it, they're gonna, there's no real incentive or anything for any of them to.
It sounds like that's the way you
Yeah,
need to do it.
so anyway, so that would be, it's about 200, I think it was 253, but then they added something, the designer added something to it. It was a battery backup.
Oh.
Yeah, that wasn't in the original spec yet, so there's gonna be a little bit extra for that, but, I think I probably want a motion to approve that. We've already selected them. We already have a purchase agreement with them. But things can, a motion to move forward with the purchase agreement prior to December 15th.
Because we revised the original.
Then I can get the check cut. I can get the order. I don't know if I have to pay the check right away, but I can definitely get the order.
Do you want that motion now?
Sure.
Well, I will make that motion to go ahead and approve the purchase of the equipment up front. The amount 200.
It was, with the purchase agreement that we have with, that we got signed with Weddington.
I'll take a second.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been, moved and seconded. Joan, go ahead with roll call, please.
Kate Harrison.
Yep.
Roger Tom,
Yes.
Mike Parsons,
Yes.
John Edwards,
Yes.
John Quinn.
Yes.
Thank you.
That seems like the prudent thing to do.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
we're
I'm
gonna- that's quite a bit.
disappointed that we got the delays, I'm a little bit frustrated by that, but, I think we are still moving forward with it.
When do we go out to bid for the work?
I expect, I just sent the contract documents with the pre-bid checklist up to DEQ today. And they shouldn't take too long to get that approval. We've already got the plans approved by DEQ, so now we just have to make sure the contract's compliant with the SRF funding. So we expect to start advertising, I would think in December, and have the bid opening either January or February.
Okay, anything else, Nick?
No.
Okay, thank you. PJ?
Yeah, O&M's plugging away. In Flushing, we got just over, just under 21 miles of pipe. 12.5 CV. Nothing really much exciting there. Michael and his crew did 9 culverts for ODOT between Ashland and Phoenix in the last month. Everything else has been routine with those two. Like Nick said, Shady Cove 2 is done, running good, looking good. That Jace 360 where we've upgraded some pump station controls, Ashland 2 is complete. We got one of the panels last week. It ended up on its side shipped, so we sent it back up so they can do some testing. We got it back. But yeah, we just gotta get that scheduled with the electrician to get, either Ashland 1 or Phoenix or Airport, worked on. But we got some of the parts in, we just had to send some back to make sure they look good. Nothing new with the plants. They've been pretty routine. They spent some time last month just calibrating some instrumentation, making sure everything's calibrated and measuring correctly. The lagoons is still operating. They took in 222,000 gallons. We talked about the septic truck. We did sell 2 Colorado and a half-ton Chevy Silverado. That we got sold those when we got the electric vehicles. They just haven't been sold yet. So the electric trucks are doing good. So these two trucks have been sitting since we got those back in April, so we decided to put them up. The half ton went for 10,138. That's with, the fee for the Department of Admin, State of Oregon. And the Colorado was $7,728.
Yeah, that half ton had a lot of miles on it.
Yeah, it's like 174, 184.
Colorado?
The GMC Sierra.
Oh, really?
That was our locator, because he's always going back from Ashland to Shady Cove, and then locates one side to the other.
So he's gonna be driving electric one then?
Yeah, he's in the electric one, and it's been going for one. Yep. Good. That's all I have.
Okay, any questions for TJ? Okay, thanks, TJ. Carl, your turn.
Okay, so our strategic plan development, we're plugging away at that. So last time we talked, we've gone through our internal strengths and weaknesses, and I did compile them. I meant to share that with you, but didn't make it in, but here it is. That looks small. Anyway, so it's kind of interesting, and I talked about this before, but on our strengths, it's fairly similar to the last time we did this. Staff benefits. I think training was a new one. That was not something that our staff really saw as a strength of ours. And teamwork and communication was a very new one, because that one's 5 years ago, that was listed as a major weakness, and now we've got it as a strength. So I think that's really good. And then the GIS mapping and all the apps that we've done, that got listed as a strength. And then on our weakness side, teamwork and communication still was listed as a weakness. So, I mean, there's always work to do there, but last time we did this, that was an absolute liability for us, and now it's more even down. Yeah. And then interesting that, the training, people listed that as both a strength and a weakness. So there's obviously good things that we're doing. There's some things that we need to improve on. But a couple of new things that showed up here, there seems to be some dissatisfaction with our cell phone service. And I think this is mostly Shady Cove because it's really sketchy out there, the coverage. And there's just like other places, because we travel around such a big area, different carriers have holes in different places that you don't get good service. And they depend on that because they're doing data links, like on the TV crew, Mike's out doing TV work, that's linked up to the cloud, and you don't have good service on that. It makes it more difficult now. So that's something that we'll need to address. And in the office space, there's, Nick's department is kind of busting at the seams in the space they're in. So we'll need to look at that a little bit closer and see what we can do to alleviate some of that. So that's where we are so far. Tomorrow is where we start talking. We do our brainstorming session on our external opportunities and threats. So it's really kind of a fun exercise to do with everybody in the room. It's pretty lighthearted and people have a good time with it, but it is serious and they do give good input. So it is nice to have. So that's moving along according to schedule.
So with the cell phone stuff, are you gonna check with different carriers and see who do you have now?
US Cellular is who we have now.
Interesting.
And I think we switched to them from AT&T specifically because AT&T was horrendous and shitty.
Yeah.
So we're not at that point yet. We're identifying the strengths and weaknesses. We're not going for the solutions yet. And that's the hard part that everyone looks at this and everyone's got the solutions already. But, we're trying to pace ourselves and do it in the right order.
That sounds good.
Have a little bit of discipline, but I know everyone's in their head has solutions already, so.
Yeah.
Well, I have AT&T in Shady Cove, and it's not good.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of my neighbors that have super shut area that are not. What's the other one you were talking about?
US Cellular,
US Cellular, and they have problems with them too.
Yeah.
I think Shady Cove just has poor cell coverage.
Yeah, it's not good. I don't even know if any one's better than the other, to be honest.
Is there a satellite link that even more expensive, but would be better? Like Starlink?
Well, they do phone
Call
service.
us.
Well, I guess they could do the data links.
Yeah. I think we're not there yet either.
No.
Okay, so anyway, that's where we are there. The Shady Cove disinfection project we talked about. Jacksonville, everything is on track for us to start sending out bills beginning in January. So we've upgraded our billing software. We're now cloud-based on that. We've got some other trainings that are coming along. There's an express bill pay service that's going to go into effect here on December 4th.
Yes,
So that's moving along so far,
yes.
real smooth.
Can I just go to the front desk and sign up
Not yet. Oh, wait a
For
minute.
what?
for billing for
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville?
Oh, no, not yet, no.
Yeah, so you'll start getting a bill. Your first bill from us is.
I don't want to get a bill. I want to be paid automatically.
That should, we don't know when Springbrook is going to be transferring their customer base to ours. Haven't heard
But we
that
should be
yet.
able to do that in December.
All right, I'll be
Well,
paid.
as soon as we get the data into our system, then you should be able to go on to Express Bill Pay, but you'll have to know what your account number is. So you'll have to get his call.
I'll be patient.
Will you?
Okay. Gold Hill transition, we're still waiting on rural development to decide whether or not they are going to allow us to assume the loan.
That's taken a long time.
It has taken a long time and, and there's a $13,000 check in that pile there that goes to the bond council to write their opinions on if we can do this. So with the state, we said we want to do this. They said, sounds great, let's do it.
Yeah.
The feds, not so much. So we were meeting with them again this afternoon, so we might know more after that, but
Okay.
that's where we are right now. Everything else, I mean, the billing is kind of moving, working, it's pretty steady. I think everything else we're doing out there, it's pretty seamless. The project, the design work for the Intertie project is moving along. They've completed their 30% designs. Send all that stuff up to DEQ for comments, but they're moving right along, we expect. Our contract said that we'd be ready for bid, I think, in February 2026. But at the rate we're going, we'll probably beat that pretty easily. So we're a little bit ahead of schedule on all of that. Yeah, nothing.
As long as the environmental goes
Yeah.
through.
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with the engineer we ended up selecting. I know they're pretty expensive, but they're really thorough. And we have real good communications with them. Let us know what's happening all the time.
Sometimes cheap is not always the best route.
Oftentimes, yes.
Yeah. And if they're
Yeah.
thorough, especially with this project,
Yeah,
that's what we need.
They are, they keep a really good schedule too. They've got like 3 or 4 different tasks going all at the same time. They're not waiting.
okay, on the PERS retirement plan, the transition there. So the next step for this board would be to adopt 2 resolutions, one to ask PERS to join and another that defines the class that would be exempt from. So I may put copies of those resolutions in here, but I'm not ready to have you vote on them yet because I sent them up to PERS and I just wanted to make sure, get their comments back and make sure that this is what they need. It should be what they need because the language is straight down. For most of it, but I want to be, extra sure on that.
Yeah.
So that's, that probably will come back to you next month.
Yeah.
But that's moving forward. Our budget committee, we have 2 terms that are expiring at the end of this year for Eleanor Palmera and Anna D'Amato. I have reached out to both of them and they said they're both willing to continue for
Okay.
another 3 years.
Good.
So if that's agreeable to you, I'll come back with the resolution next month to reappoint them.
Okay,
And then, board dinner. Time to start planning for that. Last year, we went to the Edenville Winery. And it was in April, wasn't it?
Was it
yeah,
that late?
Yeah. Yeah, because it gets cold there.
Yeah, it was snowing and kind of wet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, if that works for you guys, I don't know if, what dates would be best for, or convenient, that's kind of far in advance, but, Joe needs to book it pretty far in advance also. to
Yeah.
get-
I had it,
so-
I had it in March last year.
We did it in March last year?
March
Okay.
2nd.
That's why it was so cold.
That's what I was.
As long as there's plenty of notice, I'm pretty flexible.
Okay,
yeah.
Same here.
March is good for me too.
okay.
Yeah, what, yeah, what do you call that school break they get? Spring break.
Been out of that school game for a while.
Yeah, yeah. But it's just like, yeah, everything's slow from January 1st to March 1st. So it seems like that's a really good time to throw it in there.
Yeah, March would be good.
Okay. So is that enough information for you, Joan?
I can call them and see what they have available for March, Friday or Saturday night, either one, or do you guys have a preference?
Either one is good, but what do you guys, either Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
Saturday?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, when you retire, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, if I have to be in my week on Friday,
Yes,
conceivably, that would be more convenient to have Saturday.
okay.
I think we
But
have
it
to do
doesn't
it on
matter a lot.
Saturday, but, okay.
Okay.
Carl, I think about the resolution about the PERS, we're just not gonna talk about that yet.
Oh, we can talk about it if you want, yeah.
I just had a couple just questions or things to throw out. Paragraph 6 of 2425 says that we do not intend to participate in the unused sick leave program pursuant to ORS, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Were we gonna talk about that or? is
We
that-
don't have sick leave.
You don't?
We do PTO, so.
Most of the time.
It's all in
Yeah,
one.
it's all
bundle.
together,
Oh.
thing, so
I didn't
that
know that.
would be relevant to us, yeah.
I didn't know that. Thank you. And then, what is the state and local government rate pool? I bet that's something that people who are stuck with higher rates use to pool so they get a lower rate.
Yeah, but it's a higher rate.
Right, it wouldn't help us because
Yeah,
we have fewer employees.
yeah, the local government rate pool, I think it was high, it was like over 17%. And,
Thanks.
yeah, so, we wouldn't do
Yeah,
that at all.
Cool, that's what I had. We have sick leave and admin time separate, so
Right,
we can tack it onto the end and get more service credit.
right.
It's pretty
yeah.
handy.
So,
But you can't do that with PTO?
I don't think so. We have a different, I mean, we pay out the PTO, when a person retires. I mean, it's kind of graduated, it's not 100%. It's like the first 120 hours is straight cash. And then everything above that is converted into your health retirement plan at 50%. Is that right?
Yes.
Or you can burn it and just stay,
Or you could do
which
that,
would in
yeah.
effect earn more service credit.
You can work through it and take short work weeks. Any other questions on any of that?
The other one, it just says who's not covered, and I understand the whole 5%, 5-year vesting and everything,
Right,
but we'll decide later what we're going to do for those people
right.
to make it
Yeah,
comparable.
and what we talked about last month is that to make it equitable, make the same percentage that we're paying into PERS go to those and it's only going to be a handful of people, into their retirement. As an option.
And if you don't vest at all, it's not a situation where you don't get the benefit, but you get cashed out for what you've contributed plus earnings. If you retire after 3, you get zip.
I think, well, there's the two parts. There's the individual account. I think you get that back.
The money you put in is
The
your,
money that came out of your paycheck that goes in, but the
Right.
part that comes out of your employer's paycheck that goes in,
that's gone.
that's poof, yeah.
So we would give that part to them, the employer's part.
So I think what we would do in that scenario, so right now, if we, the employer, pay 8.6% into a person's retirement. For ones that go into PERS, that amount's going to increase to 11.1 or whatever that is. And so I guess the recommendation that I would make is that we increase that 8.6 to 11.1 for the people that are not going into PERS. So everyone's getting the same benefit.
It's just for the people who aren't going into PERS, it would go into some other account.
Right.
Okay.
But that'll be a decision that we make when we build our budget.
And then get the employee paid portion back. Got it.
Right.
Well, we'll be on a different plan. If we
Yeah.
opt out, we're sticking with Mission Square. We're not
Right.
doing anything with PERS.
Understood. No, so no money's going into PERS. They're not,
Not
nothing's
for us
gonna,
that opt out, no.
nothing's going out of the check either.
No.
Not
Only,
for
only that
PERS.
bit.
Only to Mission
Right.
Square.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Last thing, the SDAO conference. Kind of last call for anyone who wants to go.
Did I already say I was gonna go, Joan?
No, but I knew you were, so I already put a ring in.
Yeah. So
I like Joan because she anticipates me.
So when is it again, Carl?
it is
February
February
7th,
7th.
and it's in Banff.
It's a Friday, Saturday.
I totally recommend it. If you can possibly go, I totally recommend going.
Okay,
Eric, you told me last time.
I
you
did
wanted
last
to
time,
go.
yeah.
Okay. So so we have John, Kay, Mike, you said yes?
See, I can't, 50/50, I'm not sure about February, but I'll know better later, but if I'm left out, I'm left out, not a big deal.
Okay, and Roger?
I don't think so.
I didn't think so either, because
He already knows
we
it.
invite you every time that you say that.
7th and 9th.
I went last year, it was interesting.
Yeah.
It was a good conference, and I would go this year, but.
Seaside's a little nicer than Bend. I mean,
In February?
Definitely a lot nicer.
Yeah.
That place cool.
So, yeah, and we've got Nick's going because he's on the SDAO board, so he's, you know, he doesn't associate with us when we're there.
I try to.
And then Carol was going to go, and Joan and Brenda, and I'm undecided. Or you were gonna go too, TJ, right?
Uh-oh,
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know about that
no,
part.
I mean, it's only one day, I don't know if I wanna leave. I'll take all the management out of the building. True. Not that I don't trust our people, but, you know, if something comes up and
It's Friday, Carl.
it is a Friday, so you have to stay.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Anyway, okay, so
Nick
we've
wants
got,
to be-
we've got 2 yeses and a maybe.
Um,
And, okay. So we'll go ahead and get things arranged.
I haven't got to sign up for the actual conference yet. I
Right.
just did the rooms,
Yeah.
because they're already gone, so.
Do we have enough?
I have 7.
I think this is one. Okay.
And then Brenda has 7.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Right.
I think that is all I have. And just to point out, when I mentioned that big check for the bond council, that's not on this list at the end of the packet because that came in later,
So it's not gonna be,
yeah, it's in the pile there, but just let you know that that is one that, typically, anything that's over like $5,000, Brenda puts on the list just to highlight that, but that's, it's in the pile that's on the list.
you know. Okay, anything else, any questions? I wanna mention, something, I spoke with, what's Cody's last name, for our auditor. And it was the first time I have had an auditor interview one of the board members in any situation that I've ever been in, either on a city council or a different board or stuff. And it was, I liked it because it made me think about making sure that we don't continue to be, that we don't become complacent about how well everybody works here and how we feel about the trust factor that we have between all the board members and our staff and our management. We're extremely fortunate that we have good staff, not only in management, but out in the field, and we have good board members. But it made me think that, you know, when you were talking about training, you know, just making sure that we pay attention and we ask questions, and we usually do. If something comes up, and one of the things I told Cody is because with the board, we all have different backgrounds. And so we all usually ask different questions, which either for the financial stuff or the daily running or stuff. So we pay attention. And I think that's really good. And you know, it helps me to think sometimes that me personally, I get a little complacent in thinking, oh, it's all good. But we got to make sure that we're paying attention, because people are human. And if anybody gets the bad spot, we need to pay attention to see if they're, you know, if they're gonna swerve from some of the good values that they have because they're in the bad spot. You know what I mean? And not just in the financial sector, but anything. So we can take care of the management, take care of the staff, and basically take care of the district, because that's what we're responsible for. So I really appreciated him talking and asking questions that he did. And it was basically, hey, did you observe anybody that was having any financial difficulty? You know, those types of questions that might do something stupid. Yeah, those kinds of things. And I just thought it was interesting, because I had never been asked that before by any auditor. And it was a different place. So, and I wanted to let you guys know that that happened. Anyway, it was cool.
Nice statement, but you're still not getting a raise.
I'm thankful I didn't run for the District 3 Fire Board.
Yeah. Anyway,
Who didn't run for fire board?
Me, I'm thankful
Yeah.
I did.
Roger, you're just smarter than, you know. Anyway, I need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second.
Kate Harrison.
Yep.
Roger Stone.
Yes.
Mike Parsons.
Yes.
John Evers.
Yes.
Brad Grant.
Yes.
We are adjourned. And I'm Sanchez.
Roger, I'm on the Civil Service Commission for Fire District 3.
Oh, you are, and we added
5. They couldn't join that because of the number of applicants they had.
Sorry, I
We
forgot.
just certified the register last week. And there's over 55 for District 5 and
So.
59 for District 3. So now, once they accept
Oh,
you,
house.
they choose either one or you're not, if you're applying to District 5, you're not. following.
Last way.
I'm not following you on that.
Beavers Lane, but I don't think
It's
that's.
a certified hiring.
It's just kind of like.
Oh,
dry.
I think I know.
That makes me stick out.
Yeah,
to-
one of my-
Yeah, I took care of that.
number was